So we're going to move to the second point now of the syllabus within the Cambridge CIA Unit 1. And the second point says find the discriminant of a quadratic polynomial, ax squared plus bx plus c, and use the discriminant. And it's giving an example to determine the number of real roots of the equation ax squared plus bx plus c, and knowledge of the term repeated root is included. So it's quite a simple topic, but it covers quadratic equations in a bit more detail. Let's go into explaining a little bit of what the discriminant is. So essentially, when you have a quadratic equation, something of this form, ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0, and you're asked to solve it, there's three different ways of solving it, right? Firstly, you can factorize it. So that's the straightforward method, if you can. Second thing, you can use the formula. And thirdly, we can do completing the square, which is the video that we did previously. Now, the discriminant comes from this part here, so the formula. So the quadratic formula says that you can find what x is if you use this formula minus b plus minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Now, with our advanced understanding of mathematics, you will realize the importance of this value here within the root. Now, this value is the essential value that we call the discriminant. So the discriminant, which the syllabus mentions, discriminant is essentially b squared minus 4ac. And we as mathematicians are taking this out of the quadratic formula to determine how many solutions we'd get out of a quadratic. So when you put something in this formula, you could get three possible outcomes. You could get x as just one answer, one solution. You could get two solutions, or you could get no solutions, okay? And what we're trying to do is do minimal work, really, and take the discriminant b squared minus 4ac and see that if we can use this to find these three scenarios there. Okay, so there's three conditions that you need to imagine within the square root. What if b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0? Okay, so just imagine for a second, we put that into the formula, x equals to minus b plus minus, and whatever this value in the root is equal to 0 over 2a. This means that we'll just be left with minus b over 2a, so we end up with just one answer. So rather than doing the whole equation, the whole of the quadratic equation, we'll just put b squared minus 4ac and figure out that if the answer is 0, you get one solution, or one root, or one repeated root, sometimes called. Okay, scenario number 2. What if b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0? In that case, you get a positive answer within the square root. So we're looking at something like this, x equals to minus b plus minus, and you've got some answer in there over 2a. Now, as a result, you'll get two answers. You'll get x equals to an answer that will come from just the positive outcome. Apologies. You'll get x gives you an answer with just the positive answer when you do just plus, and then the second answer you'll get when you do the minus. So x is going to be two solutions. And that is the outcome when b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0. So we're going to get two solutions here. And our last scenario is if b squared minus 4ac is less than 0. So what if the discriminant b squared minus 4ac is less than 0? So now let's imagine what happens if b squared minus 4ac is less than 0. You put it into your formula, minus b plus minus, and whatever you get in a square root gives you a answer that's less than 0. Okay, so we're talking about a negative answer there. Now, we know that at this level, we cannot do or cannot compute a negative square root. Okay, so we're just not able to do this at the moment. It's not like it doesn't exist. Well, in the future, we'll learn imaginary and complex numbers, and we will be able to use this in calculations. But at the moment, we say that we get no solutions or no real solutions, because you can get imaginary complex solutions. But at this point, we just say that there are no solutions. So every time in our AS level syllabus, we see a square root of a negative number, we just say we can't do it. Okay, so we're not going to do that. It's kind of in your calculator, if you put it down, it won't be able to work it out. So we'll say here that there are no real solutions. And essentially, that is the discriminant. This part here is what the discriminant is. It's 3 points. B squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, and b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, and there's 3 possible outcomes. You don't have to worry about putting it into the quadratic formula. The only thing that we need to be focusing on is these points here and working from there. In the next video, I'll do some examples and we'll look at some exam questions.